Hey family, it's Tasha from Mama Bear Homestead. I got another video for you over here. Just got done with my video over at Mama Bear Prepping. If you haven't seen that, please join me over there. Just gonna get into, obviously, garden. It's garden time. We're getting ready. We're getting excited. You have everybody who's just fiending to start stuff, start seeds, start things. You don't want to start stuff too early, depending on where you live, right? And for me, what I've learned is direct sow is actually much better for me. Direct sow outside, but I can't do that till after that last frost. So for me, it's like, okay, well, what can I do? How can I prepare? And what ways can I prepare? One way is I've been getting my garden ready, right? I've been moving stuff around, figuring out my game plan for my layout, exactly how I'm going to put stuff. Maybe stuff I had last year, I learned stuff. Like I had tomatoes, for example. They did phenomenal. I only had 3 plants. They did phenomenal. I got so many tomatoes, and but they were up against some bushes. And so it was hard last year. They were doing so well. It was very hard for me to get some of the tomatoes in the very, very back, right? And so that is something, for example, right? Moving where I'm going to have the tomatoes this year, right? Having my new raised garden beds come in, where am I going to put those? Extending the garden and just moving stuff around, cleaning up dirt, cutting down clippings, clipping some stuff, more stuff down that was dead. I did a lot of that at the end of, or the beginning of winter, right? Cutting stuff back. Stuff is just starting to pop up, but we got some cold snap coming this next week. And so I'm concerned with the stuff that is starting to kind of pop up, perennials and some flowers and some plants that are starting to come back and peek out, and so I'm hoping that the cold snap doesn't just totally destroy them. So there's a couple things out there that I feel like could be very vulnerable, right? They've been making it through some 30s days. They're fine with that. But this real bad cold snap in the teens could be devastating for those ones that are trying to come out, and then just totally shut them down. So we're going to see what we can do. And I'm going to bring you right back because I can hear the chickens. They're going crazy, and I forgot to give them their morning snack. I'll bring you right back. Okay, I'm back. I should have known, right? I don't know about you guys, but so my chickens are totally spoiled, and they, in the mornings, if I don't come out there, probably within a couple hours of them being like let out, they make the loudest noise, especially one. She's the biggest one, right? Miss Piggy. I haven't confirmed, she's the one I haven't confirmed is laying eggs or not. And, she is loud. Like, she sounds like she's a dang geese out there, just loud. Sometimes I'm like, is that geese flying over and making noise? And it's her. She's just super, super loud. And you can't peek and look at them, because if she sees and it's in the morning like that, and she's like, where's the morning snack? She'll get all so upset. So they have tons of food out there, which they never want to eat. They eat it, but you know what I mean? They want them snacks, especially since I've been bringing them fresh fruit and spinach and mealworms like crazy. And so they love that. And so within a couple hours, we let them out at dawn, then they come out, and then within a couple hours, unless they still have a bunch of scratch and stuff like that on the ground from maybe the day before, she's making a noise. So she was just doing that, and I could hear her, and it's really loud. So I was like, let me go out there and give them the little snack. So I took them some strawberries and some mealworms. So they should be much, much better. 2 of them for sure confirmed laying eggs. We catch them all the time. We catch them in the box. Then there's an egg. So 2 of them we know for a fact are laying eggs. One is laying monster eggs. Just this one. She's the middle-sized one. She's laying monster eggs, okay? The other one's laying average. And then we can't catch the 3rd one. But once in a while we get a random egg either in a weird spot, or we get it like we open up the hen house in the morning and there's like a random egg just in there, right? So we're thinking maybe it's her, maybe she's not understanding what she's supposed to be doing or where to go, or it's so we don't know. We don't know. We have yet to get more than 2 eggs in a day, so we know, but that's not a fact, because if they're taking breaks, right, they're not laying every day, she could be possibly laying, and I just can't catch her, right? Or she's the one doing it in those weird situations where, I don't know, like one day, this was a while ago, this was towards the beginning, there was an egg by the watering trough, one of the watering things, which is way far away from the hen house, and it was just sitting there in the sand. So and it hadn't been bothered. Nobody was picking at it, so I don't know. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. What are the things I'm starting? Because I'm not a huge fan of starting seeds here. The plants just don't seem to be as strong. But I'm going to walk you through what I'm going to do. So, a while ago, I got some sweet potatoes, and I didn't do anything with them. I didn't put them in dirt. I didn't put them in water, nothing. But they're starting to get some slips, beginning stages. So I'm about to put them in dirt and then keep that process going, get them sprouted, get them going more, water them, that type of thing, and really give them a go now. They've just been doing it on their own in the dark, and so now I'm just going to help them along their way so that I can plant beautiful slips this year and get some beautiful harvest of sweet potatoes. I did sweet potatoes last year, and then something happened and I ended up not even harvesting them, and I didn't even dig through the dirt to see if they were there. It was horrible. I failed completely when it came to sweet potatoes, right? So I could have had sweet potatoes. I don't even know, you guys. To this day, I don't know. I have to go through these pots where I had them. I didn't plant that many either, by the way. Okay, so slips. Potatoes, starting potatoes in the dark, just getting some potatoes, putting them in the dark, just letting them start to sprout on their own, start that kind of process by themselves, and then they'll be ready to go and go outside and start in the pots. This year my plan is to plant way more, and so I want to get a lot more planted. You can buy potato, I don't know if they're called slips, but I think they might be called something else, but I've never done that. First of all, they're expensive, and two, I actually just saw some in the Home Depot the other day too. So they have them out like ready to go, but I'm not doing that. So I like getting my potatoes and then just growing from those, and then just keep growing from those, right? So letting those kind of sprout. 3 other things that I'm going to get going with sprouting or rooting in water. These 3 I'm going to get going in water. And that is, and there's another one I might throw in there, but I'm going to be getting some turmeric going in water and get it sprouted, get it going beautifully first. Then I'm going to get some garlic going and just get it going beautifully in some water. I want to get ginger going by itself, in some water. And I had beautiful garlic. I had beautiful ginger last year that I got from my girlfriend in Florida. And so I'm super excited to do ginger again, some more. I'm super excited. But I'm going to get some of those things rooted indoors first so that when I go to plant them, they're really started, they're really going. And then the other thing is I have a bunch of onion bulbs from last year. And they were beautiful, but one thing I learned last year is they were planted way too close together. So I got a ton of bulbs, but I got a ton of smaller bulbs. And so now this year, obviously I'm going to spread stuff out, but I want to get some stuff going, and I'm thinking about using those actual bulbs, those smaller bulbs, cut them down and get those rooted and get those started in that capacity. Onions are super important to us. Carrots are super important. So those 2 things I like to get already kind of started from the local farmer and get their starter plants from them for those 2 things, because we plant so much of it. We want a really, really big yield, and I am not the best. I've planted carrots many times from seed, but sometimes I'm like a 50-50, right? So I don't know. We do grow a lot of carrots. Okay, so that's one thing that we it's like the tomatoes, we grow them like crazy, but it's me having to learn what's the best way to get those started. So turmeric, garlic, ginger, and probably onions, all going to start rooting indoors in water, get them going. And then there's 2 plants that people say, hey, yeah, absolutely start now, and that's peppers and tomatoes. We plant both. I overwintered several pots of peppers this last winter that are in the garage. Cut them back, mulch them very good, put some burlap around them. And because they were outdoors, I didn't bring them indoors. I didn't want to bring in any kind of infestation. I've done that before and had a whole outbreak, flies, maggots, the whole thing, right? You have to be very careful just bringing stuff inside your house. So I moved all those overwintering peppers into the garage. So I'm hoping that a lot of those come back, right? But I love peppers, all different types of peppers. Hubby makes salsa, and so we always have to have a lot of peppers. I think it's a great enhancement type food for cooking in general, especially when you talk about making your own seasonings even later, right? Flavoring agents, that type of thing. So peppers are super important. Now, tomatoes are equally important. Now, I told you when I start seeds inside, they're not going to be strong enough to plant outdoors. Just, I don't know what it is. It's either I'm not making them strong enough, I'm doing something on my side. But I did it in California, and they were perfect, and they made it. But I think it's because the weather is so unpredictable here. I planted seeds, you guys, that I started like 3 times in the garden last year, and all 3 times they got ruined, whether it was rain, whether it was hail, whether it was heavy wind. It was horrible. It was horrible. And so I had to do 2 things. I had to buy transplanted plants that were already very good size. Like my tomato plants I ended up buying were already very, very good size plants. You know, you got to do that, or direct sow, which direct sow though outside, I can't do direct sow until obviously frost dates, right? So that hinders me as far as my start time sometimes with certain plants. So tomatoes and peppers, I like to have go for as long as possible, right? I like tomatoes. I had tomatoes still coming in all the way to frost dates into winter, right? Tomatoes were phenomenal, and I want to get my peppers that way this year. And so I can't start seeds. So how do I do it? Can't direct sow yet. Plus I'll be behind the curve with direct sowing when it comes to peppers and tomatoes, in my opinion. I'm gonna buy some plants obviously from the local farmer, but I think what I'm gonna do is, if you remember, I started tomatoes and several peppers in my indoor garden. They need to be upplanted, because what I have right now is I have and maybe I'll take some pictures and put a picture right here, but there's several seeds or several plants started in a 8-inch, 10-inch pot, whatever size it is, and they're doing beautiful. They're green, but they're clustered together, which is what's keeping them strong, right? But I need to take them out of that pot, divide those up. Some of them are not going to make it. They're not going to be strong enough because they've been clustered. They're kind of okay. But as soon as I break up that pot, those ones are going to be goners. Then what my plan is to hopefully get at least one that I can up pot to put back into the indoor garden. Okay. And have one solid good plant for that type of pepper or that tomato. And then hopefully I have some that I can pull out and I can up pot. I can put in a little pot by itself, individuals, and give concentrated love to that plant that's already started, that's already fairly strong. Keep the lights super, super close to it, and just try to get it as strong as possible to see if I can get those plants strong enough for transplanting later after the frost dates, right? And then this year, my plan for anything that I try to do like that, even though they'll hopefully be stronger than my seedlings were last year, I still will try to protect them with maybe some cages, maybe a little some kind of wind barriers, but really trying to protect them a little bit more. I'm probably gonna put cages over them, and then maybe even plastic inside the cages if I need to really, like it starts to hail. I mean, the cages should stop most hail. The rain will still get through, but it should stop even the hard rain from really just hitting it directly if there's a cage over it. And the only thing I would have to worry about is a frost, but I'll see that coming, and then I literally could throw a blanket or a sheet over the cages and everything, and then when it passes, just take it off. So that's probably what I'm going to try to do with some of these plants that I want to transplant from the indoor garden to the outdoor garden, and be successful with the transplanting, because the weather, we'll have rain all the way into the summer months, so that's not going to stop. The hail is crazy. That's a random thing. That's something I can't track. I don't know when it's going to hit. It just hits. So you have to almost do your garden knowing that if you have anything that's on a weaker level, it's going to have a cage, so that when I get random hail, I'm already prepared for it. And then it ends up not being that devastating as it was for me last year. Most people would have just been like, forget it. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm just going to go buy everything. And so I'm glad I didn't quit. I mean, 3 times literally I put stuff out there, you guys. 3 different rotations of different plants as they were getting strong. And let me tell you, they weren't weak looking either when I took them out. And I was hardening them off outside on the table. So it wasn't like this was just some, you know, weak sauce. These plants look weak, they're probably not gonna make it. I mean, they were like doing very, very well. They beautiful colors, had their second and third leaves. I mean, they were good. Now, could I have waited and got them to a bigger size? Absolutely. And I think that's what I'm going to have to do if I want to have a chance of transplanting and making it through those winter events. That weather that's still going to happen. It doesn't stop just because winter's going away, right? The frost might go away, but the hail and that wind and rain, that's still a thing here that I've got to nip in the butt and figure out. Okay, so I think that's it. I think right now that's my only game plan for what I'm starting right now in my house to get ready for the garden. Outside of that, it's just planning and figuring out where I'm going to put everything and getting stuff started, like everything started. So again, last year I started a bunch of stuff. I got a really good start, but there were certain crops that I just kind of drug my feet on and I missed out on a lot of time. Like for example, corn. I waited way too long to do corn. And by the time it started even beginning to get good, it just was so far. And so again, it's something that I've got to start. Maybe I could start corn starts. That's a little bit of a stronger plant, if you will, almost, right? Like when it comes from seed, it's kind of hardy from the beginning. So maybe that's something I could start, but you know, that's something that I definitely wish I would have started earlier last year and really got going, right? That and now's the time to plant, like if you have your watermelons and your melons, you know, because they take so long to mature. Turmeric, if you're doing turmeric and ginger, that stuff's like 10 months to start doing, you know, before it's ready. And so, and you're not even going to see growth on it probably for several months, right? Like, and when I say growth, I mean like the leaves that are above ground. So there's lots of stuff you can do, but the frost does hinder a lot of stuff. And as people who are trying to grow food for the future to provide, you got to get very creative of how you do things. Yeah, and how you do things. So, you know, I might get to a point here in March where I just say, screw it, I'm going to plant some stuff in the ground. I'm going to direct sow it. And then just if some cold snaps come, I'll just try to put some burlap down over that. Put some hay and some straw down. But then if it gets real bad, I mean, it's underground, but I still don't want a cold snap to kill those seeds. And so, but maybe there's some stuff that I can do to get ahead of that so that I can get ahead of the growing season. So I love your guys' comments on this channel because we're all just trying to do the same thing, raise animals, grow food, learn, teach each other. I learn something every single time I open up the comments in this channel, and I appreciate that. So, and I know that there's people that have not done this yet, have not taken the steps to doing their own homestead or their chickens or their what, this, that. Motivate them, right? When you leave comments about what you're doing, how you're doing it, that's motivating to them. If you're that person, leave your comments, okay? Because you don't know who's going to see it and want to engage with you and help you out and help you get started with stuff and try to motivate you, okay? So I'll see you guys next week on the next video. Take care. Bye.